We're here with John Skeet, CEO of Mithril Resources Limited, an Australian-based company that recently picked up the Copalquin high-grade gold-silver deposit in the state of Durango. John is a metallurgist who's played a major role in mining exploration and development in Mexico since he arrived here back in the early 2000s. He was the general project manager for Bonanza Gold at the Palmarejo project in Chihuahua up until its acquisition by Coeur Mining back in 2007. This was a major $1 billion acquisition that established Coeur as the biggest primary silver producer in the world. After that, John became chief operating officer at Mithril Resources and their flagship property, the Cerro del Gallo property in the state of Guanajuato. The Cerro del Gallo is currently being developed by Argonaut Gold, and they put out a pre-feasibility study on this property earlier this year. Now John is exploring an incredibly rich high-grade gold-silver project in Durango called Copalquin. Mithril is currently conducting a helicopter-supported, man-portable diamond drill program there in the middle of the rainy season in one of the most remote areas in the Sierra Madre. John, it's good to see you here today.
Thank you, Doug. It's a pleasure to be here.
I see you just put out a press release on the first drill results from Copalquin. Could you tell us a little bit about what you found?
Yes, so we've been drilling there for a month now, and we've completed a program of holes at just one of the prospects there, which is the La Soledad mine area. So we just released the first two holes that we drilled in that particular area of the project, and we pretty much confirmed the previous drilling that was done there in the early 2000s, and we're now looking at extending, the depth and the strike length of that particular deposit.
Okay, well, you've had some really high-grade samples out of that property. What kind of grades are you looking at there?
Well, it's always, in all the historic literature, has always been described as being all the different mines that have operated there and produced back in the 1800s were always described as being in Bonanza or Bonanza grades or Bonanza production. So that's the word we've sort of grabbed onto to describe these sort of grades. But we're up in the multiple ounces per ton, very high grade veins. We're really just testing the extent, and we're looking also for clavos along these structures to see whether we can build ounces very quickly.
Well, do you have any feel for the potential size of what you might be looking at here?
Well, look, at this stage, we've got 7,000 hectares. We've got 30 historic mines. Some of those were multi-level mines, fairly well engineered and developed, reasonable size workings, and we're seeing some big stopes and in some of these mines, which is a very good indicator of the potential resources that may still be there in those areas. So, and with the grades we've been seeing, but we're expecting to build up a resource portfolio, of high grade ounces, maybe not large tonnage, probably a smaller tonnage, but very, very high grade, large ounces. And we think we're going to do that fairly quickly.
Well, you don't need a whole lot of tons when you have those types of grades.
Exactly, yes. Yes.
Do you have access to some of the old historic workings?
Yes, a lot of the workings we've been able to go into. Even just today at La Soledad, the bottom level was flooded. We've drained that level 4, and Hall Stewart and his team there have just for the first time have entered that level of the workings, and we'll be very keen to sort of see what they've found there. Some of those workings have collapsed and haven't been accessible for quite some time, but most of the other workings we've been able to get inside and do some mapping and sampling, as well as, there's extensive outcrop and surface alteration in the district as well. So we're really looking at Copalquin as a complete mining district, and we've got a lot of area to cover, and there's a lot of occurrences that we're well aware of.
Yeah. Well, how's the drilling been going along with, I suppose it's difficult conditions with the rains?
Yes, we had we managed to get mobilized and established there before the daily rainfall started, and we've been able to keep drilling without any disruption there. The only problem we had was one of our pads, which was mostly fill material, became waterlogged, and it
became
moved.
unstable.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so we built another one. The same thing happened with that one, and then the third one stayed up, and then we managed to complete the holes in that particular part of the drill program.
Okay. Well, it's certainly a beautiful part of the country to work in.
It is. It's yeah. When we're out there, we're just always we're always very grateful to have such a such a piece, such a nice area, such nice scenery, and it's been a pleasure to be working there over the last few years that we've had the property.
Yeah, well, most of your career you've worked in mountainous regions in Mexico, so I guess this
Yeah.
isn't anything really new to you.
No, it's no, it wasn't. The pictures sometimes the pictures look a bit daunting, but really where we're actually working in that part of the geography is we're down more down to the valley, and it is challenging walking around. You get it's quite a workout walking from one deposit to the next, but yeah, we're very used to it, and all the people living around there and working around there are very familiar with it as well and used to it. So it's nothing too overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, how are you being received by the local people there? Is it?
Yeah, they're very keen. They've been through the locals there have been through a couple of exploration programs with previous operators, and also the area's got a a very strong history of mining, going back to the 1850s when mining first started at El Refugio mine in the Copalquin district, and then it's subsequently from then it just spread out to the whole district, and there were probably a dozen mines working at one time. And Copalquin village was actually I think had several thousand people living there, so there's still remnants of a church there, cobblestone streets and other buildings in the actual Copalquin township, but now it's fairly sparsely populated, but the people there are walking quite long distances to come and do their 2 weeks of work with us before having their break. So
That's good.
so yeah, we're very well supported, and people are very appreciative to be having such employment in the district.
Yeah, there's really no other source of employment in that area.
No, and traditional sources of employment have sort of dropped off a lot in recent years, and we're seeing a lot more agriculture, particularly around the bigger towns further away, like El Durazno. A lot of agriculture is developing there, and you can see a lot of machines coming in. So there's a lot of farming. So there's more activity, different sort of activity going on there in the area, and exploration is just another part of that. So we're really keen to see that whole area, be productive and everyone working and prospering.
Okay, well, that's good. Mithril Resources is a relatively new company listed on the ASX under the symbol MTH. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the company and your team that you've put together there.
Actually, yeah. So actually, Mithril's been around probably for 15 or 16 years or so on the ASX, and it was mostly focused on exploration in Australia, and then didn't have a lot of success. So last year, two major shareholders took control of the company, and then decided to embark on searching for a major project that could change the fortunes of the company and give it some definite direction. And we were introduced to those guys middle of last year, and then we built up a good working relationship, and then as our private company Sun Minerals, we decided on a acquisition transaction, and that took us several months to complete, and then we were tripped up a bit by the COVID situation with the markets, and then we had to reprice that, and eventually we got it completed at the end of May, and that resulted in the Sun Minerals directors and shareholders of the company becoming major shareholders of Mithril, and having two members on the board, myself as CEO, and Hall Stewart is the chief geologist for the company who's managing the Copalquin Project.
Okay, a number of the directors go back to the Bonanza days.
That's right. So Dudley Leach was a director of Bonanza Gold, and all of us were associated with Bonanza Gold in some way, either working for Bonanza, and Gary, in Gary's situation, who's on the Mithril board now, he was the owner of Intermet Engineering that was doing the construction at Palmarejo. So we've all had a lot of experience in Mexico, particularly at Palmarejo, and then subsequently at Cerro de Gallo, and now we're we've been working at Copalquin for 3 years now, and we're very happy to be finally drilling the property, and we're well funded for the rest of this year, and we'll complete our 5,000 meter maiden drill program.
Oh, that's excellent. It's certainly a different environment this year than it was last year as far as financing goes.
Well, yes, a year ago there was no interest, and then suddenly within a month everyone who I'd been talking to in the previous year was hey, have you still got Copalquin? So we ended up taking a safer, more familiar route, which was to go onto the ASX and deal with people that we had some associated prior history with, and initially we had been looking at doing something in the North American market, but so far this is working out successfully for us, and we're very keen to get this program completed and demonstrate the prospectivity of the Copalquin project.
Okay. Well, what originally attracted you to Mexico back in the early 2000s?
Well, it was a prolific area for all sorts of discoveries. A very strong mining industry. Really looking for investment, and a lot of projects that had been held for many years by various individuals, and really just needed experienced companies to come in and put some investment in and start to do some work, which our Canadian cousins have done very well. So.
Yeah, back at that time, gold was pretty much bottomed out around $250 an ounce or so. Yeah.
Yes. Well, with Bonanza, that started off in the Republic of Georgia, and we had we developed a heap leach project there. So both Gary Thomas and myself both spent several years there between us, and Gary did the hardest years getting things established there, and then I came in later with the benefit of that and built the 10,000 ounce per month heap leach project, and that
really
that funded a lot of Bonanza's initial work in Mexico. And but that was at a very difficult time when, as you mentioned, when the gold price had bottomed out and post the Bre-X fiasco and the depressed gold prices.
Yeah, that was pretty much a 7-year downturn.
It was, yes. Yeah, so Bonanza was well positioned getting into Mexico, starting with a good project, and then it was all very well timed. So the board of Bonanza did a great job of steering that project and also navigating the markets, and then finally coming to that final transaction with Core.
Yeah, well, if you could make a project work back in that environment in the early 2000s, you certainly can do it now.
Yes, well, you got to have faith in your chosen field of work, I think.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess my final question here, this short interview, is just how do you view the current environment in Mexico for mineral exploration?
Well, there's just so much good news coming out of Mexico in terms of all the there's some very good quality projects, good quality operators there, and a lot of deals being made, and it's great to see so much still available, and still so much good news after all, so many years of all the development there and mining and exploration. There's still a lot of good news coming out of the not just the Sierra Madre trend, but also the base metal trend towards the center of the country. So
yes, up in the Altiplano. Yes.
Yeah.
No, well, we've been publishing some spectacular exploration results nearly every other day here at Mexico Mining Center, and including your first results there from Copalquin, which I'm sure you're very happy with.
We are very happy with those. Yes. So we really wanted to demonstrate that that there is the potential there for significant high grade resources. And those first two holes have really done that for us. So we've got a lot more work to do. So we're not just at La Soledad, but all the other prospects that are around the area. So the next one we'll move to is El Refugio, and then there's been some good historic drilling there, and then probably the one that was most drilled in the late 90s, early 2000s was El Cometa. So we need to understand a lot more about that, but there were some very, very good, thick high-grade intersections there, which we want to follow up and test the extensiveness of that particular part of the district.
Oh, sure. Well, we'll be staying tuned and waiting for the next results, and best of luck on your project.
Thank you, Doug. It's been a pleasure talking, and all the best.
Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.